Welcome back. Kurokami sure is strange, huh? Leave her be.
黒髪がスコーの入試で合格点を出せたなんてちょっと信じがたいぜ。
I find it hard to believe she passed the entrance exam. Forget passing. No one could even imagine her holding a pencil. Well, that's rude. Natsuya's comment was on point. It confounded the mind to envision how she had been allowed to join the school in the first place. It's because the Kurokamis are rich, right?
Great money power で裏口ってわけかもな。
Indeed. Maybe they used their great money power to get her in through back channels or something. You shouldn't say that. But everyone thought so. No one believed she had been accepted through the proper channels. The more one thought of her, the more of a mystery she became. She was like that all last year too. All she ever did was hold that doll and ignore classes. Same. Wouldn't she have trouble with tests and makeup lessons then?
何もかも特例らしいぜ。
Guess there are exceptions to everything.
補習にも出なくていいし、そもそもテストの順位表に名前も出ねえらしい。
She never shows up to the makeup lessons, and her name doesn't even show up on the test score rankings, I hear. Is this like another situation? Yeah, same. I also hear the school just ignores her altogether. Indeed, they were ignoring her even now. The teacher should have been able to see her from where she stood. Yet she continued with the lesson like nothing was wrong. That was very mysterious and, depending on one's mindset, eerie. He didn't exactly have much in common with her, so Suzumu hadn't really paid her any mind so far. Every school had its own troublemakers and quirky students. The types everyone ignores because it would be a pain to get involved with them. Toe was certainly occupying that role. That had been his only evaluation of her. But the more he thought now, the more conscious of her he became. Suzumu had never felt this way before. It was bizarre. Making sure the teacher wasn't watching, he looked back at Toe. She was staring blankly at the ceiling. She didn't so much as even glance at him. Yet, for some reason, Suzumu's gaze was drawn to her. It wasn't exactly love at first sight. But deep down, Suzumu felt an unrest that was similar, yet completely removed from it. Was it anxiety? Or a sense of responsibility? A sense of duty that said he needed to do something, perhaps. Not even Suzumu understood the strange feelings now roiling within him. I like that word. Roiling. Toe Kurokami. Just what was it about her? You look like you pity her. Are you thinking of talking to her? No. I'd stop if I were you. I've heard some crazy rumors about her. They say you'll be cursed if she ever makes eye contact with you. That can't be true. I heard there was a girl last year who felt bad for her and tried talking to her. Oh yeah, I heard that one too. What happened to her? Apparently she went insane and stopped coming to school altogether.
悪霊に取り憑かれたとかで、親と一緒にお祓いまでしたとかなんとか。
They say she got possessed by an evil spirit and had to get exorcised.
僕は信じないな。
I don't believe that. Tsubakiko and Natsuya's eyes widened.
確かに彼女には少し近寄りがたい雰囲気があるよね。
I admit she seems difficult to approach.
周りの人がちょっぴり不吉な印象を持ったとしても不思議はない。
It's no surprise the others are a bit superstitious.
でもだからって面白半分に広まったに違いないそんな噂話を真に受けるわけにはいかないな。
But you can't take rumors that seriously.
ちょっとびっくり。
I'm a bit surprised.
案外進って芯が強いんだね。
You're a lot braver than I thought.
僕は人を見かけや噂話で評価しちゃいけないってずっと言われて育ってきた。
My parents taught me to never judge a book by its cover. Did they also teach you not to date your cousins?
僕だって僕のことをよく知りもしない人に外見や噂なんかで勝手に判断されたくない。
And I don't want to jump to conclusions about people I barely know, based on nothing but appearances and rumors.
小学校の頃は顔が女みたいだって言ってよくからかわれたんだ。
When I was in grade school, people used to make fun of me for having an effeminate face.
体がなよなよしていて男らしくないんだろうって一方的に言われて。
I hated how they kept saying I was weak and unmanly.
それに関しては俺も返す言葉がね。
Man, way to put a guy on the spot. Natsuya had also been convinced Suzumu was a weakling when he first met him. He'd challenged him to that arm wrestling match as a prank, only for his opinion to take a direct 180 after the boy had soundly defeated him. Now realizing why Suzumu had taken up martial arts, Tsubakiko felt a little ashamed of herself.
周りの扱いが人を作ることもあると思うんだ。
I think the way you're treated influences the person you become. Yet, no shit.
あの子だってひょっとしたら周りの扱いのせいでああいう振る舞いになってしまっただけかもしれない。
For all we know, she just acts like that because of how others treat her.
なるほどな。
なるほどな. I see.
話しかけたら意外にいい人かもしれないよ。
Maybe it'll turn out she's actually a good person once you get talking with her. Even though it looked like they understood, it didn't seem like they wanted to talk to Toe Kurokami either way. Understandable. Apparently, it wouldn't be easy for them to erase the sinister impression of her they'd built up in their minds.
なんだかそれが転校生の僕の使命のように思えてきたよ。
I don't know why, but that feels like my duty as a transfer student.
使命？またグレートなことを。
Great! Duty? Man, what another great thing to say. I don't know what happened last year, but that may be exactly why I need to be the one who talks to her. A flame had been lit within Suzumu. It was telling him to go talk to her. Perhaps there was something she needed as well.
では次のページ
Hello,
を誰に読んで
teacher.
もらおうかしら。あつたくん。
Okay then, who shall I have read the next page? Atsuta!
あ、はい。
Yes,
すずむは偉いね。
You amaze me, Suzumu.
人の評価に惑わされず、自分で確かめたいって気持ち、すごく尊敬できるよ。
It's really admirable that you'd rather get to know someone instead of just believing in rumors.
当たり前のことだと思うけどな。
I think it's only natural.
でもね、すずむ。愚者は経験に学ぶって言葉。
But haven't you ever heard the phrase, fools learn from experience? I mean, how else are you gonna learn?
知らない。何それ？
No, what's that?
私もどこの偉人が言った言葉かは知らないけど、でもネットで見たことがあるの。
We all know that you can believe everything you read on the internet. I don't know who said it. I just saw it on the internet.
愚者は経験に学び、賢者は歴史に学ぶ。
Fools learn from experience. The wise learn from history. I'm not gonna lie, that seems like a really silly saying. Like, ideally, you would learn from both. You learn from history and then you learn from your own experience. Why would a fool learn from experience? What? That's No. I'd never heard that before, but I could guess what it meant.
10階建てのビルの屋上から飛び降りれば死ぬ。誰でも知ってるよ。
If you jumped from the top of a 10-story building, you'd die. Everyone knows that. Duh.
でもスズムはそれを自分で体験しない限り信じないって言ってる。
But what you're saying is you wouldn't believe that unless you tried it for yourself. I don't think that's what he's saying at all, but that sure is jumping to a conclusion.
危険を避けるために人々の累積した知識、歴史に耳を傾けるべき時も
I think there
あ
are...
るんじゃない
She's
か
still
な。
going. I think there are some times where we need to turn to mankind's collective wisdom to avoid getting hurt. I don't see what any of that has to do with talking to a girl who holds a doll. But okay.
そんな大げさな話じゃないよ。
Exactly. This isn't that big of a deal.
黒髪さんに話しかけたら僕が死んじゃうなんてあるわけがない。
It's not going to kill me just to talk to her.
それはそうだけど、
That's true.
でもみんなが彼女を敬遠し薄気味悪く思い遠ざける。
But everyone avoids her because they find her creepy.
その蓄積された歴史を無視して我が身で確かめようとするスズムは
You want to ignore everyone else's experiences and see what she's like for yourself. Like, genuinely, this is one of those things where, yes, you probably should experience it for yourself. Just because everyone else thinks she's creepy doesn't mean I'm going to as well. This is entirely unlike jumping off a building, which literally has one result. But don't you think
命知らずかもしれないよ。
you might be putting yourself in serious danger? We can hope. It hadn't been that long since I'd reunited with Kiko, but I'd never seen her look so serious. It's been like a day. It was a shockingly stern expression, like the face a mother makes when scolding her child for trying to run out into the street when the light was red. Awfully specific.
私の第六感的なものがささやくの。
I can feel it in my bones.
スズムは黒髪さんとは関わらない方がいいと思う。
I don't think you should get mixed up with Kurokami.
キコちゃん。
Kiko,
私止めたからね。
I warned you, okay? Alright. This is rather sudden. But my name is Yuto Akagawa. Not that you have to remember it. Everyone only calls me by my nickname. What sort of nickname is that? Fattygawa. Oh, poor guy. If you asked the rest of the class about me, they'd say I was everyone's favourite laughingstock, the kind of person everyone makes fun of. You see those on variety shows all the time, right? Where the comedians get put through bizarre punishments and everyone laughs at them. Well, that was me. I was always the butt of such jokes. Haha, he said butt. That day was no different. A comedian got stripped down to just his underwear and had embarrassing things written all over him with felt markers. The people on TV all had a good laugh. The viewers probably did the same. But I never laughed. I just felt sympathy for the comedian, seeing them like that. No, not sympathy. Fear. Because I knew that would be me tomorrow.
Oi, Debu! Akadebu! Shiritori yaro ze, shiritori.
Akadebu. They call him Akadebu in Japanese. Hey, Fatty! Fattygawa, let's play word chain.
俺たち友達だろ? なあ、遊ぼうぜ!
We're friends, right? So come on, let's play. When lunch break came around, a bunch of crass guys would always force me to play with them. I was by no means popular. And though they called it playing, I was the only one getting played with.
じゃあ、俺から行くぞ。デブのブからな。ブルー。
Then, I'll start. I'll go with the F in fatty. Flame. I imagine the translation is not going to actually translate the shiritori because that's very hard to find words in both languages that start with the exact same letter.
ほら、ルだよ、ル。早くしろよ、デブ。
Okay, now it's time for E. Come on, fatty.
54321はい、デブの負け。
Debu no make. 543210, fatty losers. They were just looking for an excuse to put me through humiliating punishments for losing. It would go on until I lost, and recently they'd been coming up with unfair reasons to knock me out right off the bat. If I didn't play along or I showed any displeasure, they'd get really violent. So all I could do was force a smile and take it. Better to be their plaything than their punching bag. Yes, this was better. Hey fatty, strip. Come on, hurry up. See what I mean? I'd already resigned myself to this last night, so I was calm about it. They all tugged at my clothes, trying to force them off. It'd be a pain if I fought back only to lose a button, so I just gave an embarrassed smile and stripped myself. And once I was reduced to my briefs and shoes, they brought a marker out of nowhere. Called it. But it was an oil-based one. Getting this off wouldn't be easy. Relax, it'll come off once you take a bath. Ugh, you're covered in sweat. The marker's slipping. Gross. I clicked too fast, my bad. And then they cackled, just like the people on TV. But here, no comedic music would play to soften the blow. My parents didn't care about me. Figures, given I was a wimp who'd been bullied his whole life. If they knew I was getting bullied, they'd just hit me and yell at me for being such a pushover. So I'd just put up with it, throw away my underwear, and wash off all the writing in the bath so they wouldn't find out. But this trend just kept on going, and the crude comments on my body would escalate day after day. Worse, it's nearly impossible to wash off writing from oil-based markers. Water just doesn't cut it. You need to take a nylon towel and rub your skin really hard. As a result of doing this every day, my skin got raw and painful. It stung whenever the hot water touched it. That pain would serve as a constant reminder of how my body had been reduced to a sketchbook for bullies. Huh? All of a sudden, the lights went out. It was pitch black. Oddly enough, my thoughts ground to a halt too, as if time had stopped in the darkness. No point in getting worked up about it. My parents would surely take care of it. If I made a scene, they'd scold me for being a wimp who couldn't take care of himself. But just then, the shower stopped. It really did feel like time had stopped. What in the world was going on? All I could hear was the labored breathing coming out of my nose. It scared me, like there was a terrifying demon just nearby. Fear not, boy. I heard a spine-tingling voice from the depths of hell at my back. It came from within the bathroom, right behind me. The words lingered and echoed off the walls. Poor creature, ridiculed day after day. I came here because I felt sorry for you. Can you help me? Tell me, what is it you want? I don't want to go through this ever again. I couldn't stand the humiliation any longer. Very well. But in exchange, I want you to grant my wish. What wish? I feed off man's misery. Offer unto me misery befitting of your wish. Worry not. A mere trifle it is. Intriguing. I'm actually intrigued for the first time. I wish to know more. Normally, I could never give that ominous presence what it desired. Do they approach you often? But not only had it been yet another day of getting covered in embarrassing scribbles, some girls saw me and laughed this time. That bitterness urged me on. An elementary schooler was humming as he walked down the road, clearly in high spirits. The street was desolate. No one else was watching. If I was going to do it, then this was my chance. I approached him from behind, aimed for the back of his head, and... oh, thwack. I ran for the hills. The boy's cries chased me like a spectre, but I ignored them and dashed away. There, I did it. That boy was hit by a complete stranger out of nowhere. By bringing about that misery, I had given the thing what it wanted. I felt a little guilty, but that was outweighed by an overwhelming sense of triumph. And besides, it looked like that boy was coming back from school in a good mood. If he was that happy, it was only fair he shared some of it with me. So there was no need for me to feel bad, right? Happy now? I kept up my end of the bargain. I could hear the thing laughing in the distance. That night, I waited in the bath for it to show up again, but it didn't. I kept washing my body and waited for the lights to go out again, but they didn't. My body stung. It was itchy. Even after I went to bed and turned out the lights, my chest and back kept aching. The next day, I checked my stomach to find it swelling all reddish purple. But if I told my parents and it came out I'd been getting bullied, they'd scold me. It was okay. It'd go away if I just left it alone. Yes. It kept throbbing during classes. I couldn't concentrate. And time's up. Come on, show us that belly. That's me talking to my cats. You do know how to bathe, don't you? You still had some left over on your back yesterday. I was in for yet another scribbling punishment during lunch break. But this time, the aching in my chest and back was more painful. The swelling there was chafing against my shirt. So having these guys take off my clothes and touch me would actually feel better. In fact, I just wanted to take my clothes off myself. It was itchy. Itchy, itchy, itchy. Itchy tasty? Now there's a twist I want to see coming. Itchy, 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 itch, 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 itch. Oh, that did not sound pleasant. Oh, and when I took off my shirt, the swelling finally stopped itching. My chest and back writhed with pleasure, like worms after a rain. Ew! There were several purplish black, swollen blobs pulsating on them, rejoicing in the fresh air. Thank you for making me read that. To me they looked like one of those face assembly puzzles. Eyes, noses, mouths. Those scattered parts protruded from my chest, and the blobs. From the blobs. And trembled. A cloudy streak. Oh! Gross! No! The demon had certainly kept its promise. After all, the looks of horror on the bullies made it clear they wouldn't even think about touching me now. That is absolutely disgusting. I'd wished to never go through something like that again, and the thing granted it. Indeed, be careful what you wish for. Seeing the bullies fall comically on their backsides in terror felt a bit liberating even. I was sure their days of bullying me were at an end. But, all of a sudden, they kicked me to the ground. Ow. They kicked the eyes, noses, and mouths of the blobs on my chest and back over and over again, crushing them into a paste. The blobs would gush, that snot-like secretion, with each kick, sticking like string to their shoes. Thank you for making me imagine all this. As for me, well, I felt no pain, far from it. I felt on top of the world for giving them the fright of their lives. Eventually they kicked me so much that my whole body was swollen purple and became a blob itself. And so they continued stomping me. I'm going to throw up if this doesn't end very soon. Crushing me flat as I continued spewing that gooey secretion. Secretion. It's just like moist. What a terrible word to exist. Secretion. In the end, I was reduced to nothing more than a reddish-black puddle. Like, blood mixed with mucus and faded away. Thus, they would never bully me again. However, I wish I'd been more specific with my wish. Like, I wish everyone who bullies me dies or something. But if I had, I don't think hitting a kid in the head would have been enough to satisfy that demon. However, I made another wish. Kill them all. The demon's wish in exchange for that was surprisingly cheap. All I had to do was offer it the life of but a single student. Any student. But that was impossible. I no longer had a body. I couldn't kill someone, much less touch them. Hey, after hearing all this, you feel bad for me, right? Sympathize with poor old me and take my place. Yeah, no thanks. Sacrifice someone. Just one person is fine, okay? Come on, please. After you made me listen to all of that, absolutely not. Sacrifice someone for me. Come on, please, please. Did he just, drown? Hello? A giant lump of meat, beyond any possible description, writhed in the darkness. Thank you for not describing it this time. It had no arms, legs, or even a head. Just a blob of flesh. Eyeballs, noses, and mouths poked out from all over it, spewing forth gooey phlegm from time to time. It was creeping closer and closer and closer. Just then, red eyes flashed in the darkness. And it wasn't just two of them. Countless pairs of red eyes encircled the blob. Ooh, they were small Japanese dolls. Endless numbers of the exact same doll clamoured about. The blob found itself surrounded on all sides. Being dolls, they were completely expressionless. However, they clattered as they clambered over to the blob, one after another. By this point, the blob was nothing more than a piece of candy tossed into a swarm of ants. It could no longer see anything past the oncoming incursion of dolls. It howled as it squirted out several strands of phlegm like a water gun. Do they have to keep continuing? The blob was clearly screaming in its death throes. But much like the piece of candy amidst the swarm of ants, the dolls showed the blob no mercy and devoured it whole. Nom 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 nom. Delicious phlegm. With howls and the occasional sound of spewing phlegm, there it is again, the blob faded into the darkness. That was incredibly gross. Thank you for making me read all that. And that is sadly, the perfect time to end this week's episode. Okay, compared to last week where we spent 30 minutes talking about whether that guy's handwriting was feminine or not, this week was, the grossness aside, actually interesting. I'm intrigued by this bathtub demon. I'm intrigued by the monkey's poor wishes that are going on. I finally wish to know what's coming next. Because I'll tell you, when they spent 30 minutes on the notebook, I was not interested. But come back next week and let's find out what's going on. I'll see you guys then. See ya.